They shit. They played lights
Hey,
out.
what's up, fam? Welcome to another episode of 49 Faithfullee. We're your hosts, Miriah Lee and Teran Lewis. Tonight, we're joined by everybody's favorite overreaction panelist, Denise.
Hey there. But I don't know
Hi.
how overreaction I'm going to be because I'm actually
That's what you said
here's
last
hello
week,
and
too.
really.
So, obviously, as you know, we know by now that the 49ers just lost 10-11 to the Russell Wilson-led Denver Broncos. It's pretty sad that a defense can hold a team to 11 points and the team still finds, they still lose. Like what more can you expect out of a defense?
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
But, towards the end of the game is when they started giving up yards to the Broncos. And what do you expect by that time? That they've already been on the field the entire freaking game,
Exactly, Miriah.
They're going to be tired.
Yep.
So, yeah, what are your guys' thoughts? How you feeling?
Go ahead, Denise.
Thanks, Darren. You're like, go ahead, Denise.
Yeah, go
Honestly,
ahead.
you know what? Honestly, I don't even know what to say anymore. To be honest with you, I know everyone's, I know everyone's going to blame Kyle because that's what everybody does. Kyle sucks. Kyle needs to be fired. But you know what? Here's what I got to say to everybody. You guys are going to love this. We do this in my family all the time because we're just jackasses, basically. That's, this is what I got to say to everybody about Kyle. Oh, because I literally have had the Kyle hate to hear. Like I fucking have stayed off Twitter like all week because I just can't fucking stand it. You know what? Like at some point, it's not on. Like even Mike. Like I heard Mike Andrews like on Nothing But Niners. He was like, "We're not running the ball. We're not running the ball." I'm like, okay. Like we were running the ball in the first fucking half. Yes, we were. And Jeff Wilson like got off some runs and fucking. But they were stuffing us at the line of scrimmage. They literally were stuffing us at the line of scrimmage. Like we were getting like 2 yards a carry. You cannot get first downs when you're only getting 2 yards a carry. You can't. Like 2 yards, 2 yards, 2 yards, you're out. Like we had to throw the ball. We had to throw the ball. Like, and this, everybody, is our fucking problem. Is Jimmy Filopolo sucks pee-pee. He just sucks. He sucks. He fucking sucks. I don't know how else to say it. Jimmy Filopolo sucks. Like, he can't, this whole that Jimmy Garoppolo wins games, we're better off with Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for saying this. I would have rather lost this game with Trey Lance. If we would have lost this game and Trey Lance would have been the quarterback, at least I would have felt like, hey, you know what? It's okay. Growing pains, whatever. Like, I could have actually taken it. But the fact that we lost this game with Jimmy, who supposedly is the better quarterback, he's the veteran quarterback, he wins games. That's what everyone tells me. All Jimmy does is win, win, win. Jimmy Garoppolo, win, win, win. All the media, Jimmy Garoppolo, and fucking Grant Cohn can suck it. Suck it, Grant. Suck it, Grant. Suck it, Grant. I fucking hate you. I fucking hate you. Suck it, Grant. Suck it, Grant. I hope you see this.
I'm a little impressed. I didn't think you had that much rhythm.
Who said white people ain't got no rhythm?
Not me, because this bitch can dance. Let me be the one to tell you. But anyways, that's beside the point. Grant, all I heard from his ass all fucking week long was, we need to let Jimmy cook. Let Jimmy cook. Kyle's been holding Jimmy back. Kyle's been holding Jimmy back. We need to let Jimmy cook. How'd that work out for us? How'd that work out for us, letting Jimmy cook? Yeah.
I honestly think he was being sarcastic.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Was he?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I think
that's his whole thing that he was playing into.
Yeah.
Trust me, he don't think Jimmy can cook.
Yeah, nah.
We need to let, well, he was the one saying that like Jimmy was playing like 2017 Jimmy, like, 2017 Jimmy is back. Kyle Shanahan was, because he was being sarcastic to a degree, but he can't stand Kyle. So that's why he was like, let Jimmy cook. Kyle's holding Trey, or Kyle's holding Jimmy back. Like, he ain't holding Jimmy back. Like, please. Like, was I the only person that missed Deebo Samuel wide open? Wide open. Deebo literally going like this. Yo, Jimmy. Yo, Jimmy. Yo, Jimmy. Throw me the ball, Jimmy. Throw me the ball. Throw me the ball. Throw me the ball. Throw me the ball. Yep. Nothing. Even Justin Fields, who is a brand new quarterback, saw Dante Panties wide fucking open and threw him the ball. Our quarterback, our 8-year quarterback, could not see Deebo Samuel wide open, waving him down. That would have been 7 points, everybody. We would have won the game had Jimmy thrown that ball. We would have won the game. But, hey, what do I know? Nothing. We would have won the game. We would have won. If Jimmy would have thrown the fucking ball to Deebo.
TL?
Anyway. But like I said, everyone's going to blame Kyle, but the bottom line is, at some point, it comes down to fucking execution. Kyle can only do so much. He can only do so much.
Yeah. I'll say this before I say what I want to say. I feel you, Denise. Go ahead and get your stuff off.
I swear to God, like, back Jimmy upside his fucking head because he doesn't know how to play quarterback.
Yeah, this game was hard to watch. It was a snooze fest. Like, it was ridiculous. And I'm going to say something before I get into this game. I love this 49er fan base. We have a love-hate relationship because I'm always going to stick up for my brothers and sisters. There's a lot of us on here we call family. But at the same time, this is what I don't like about us. Jimmy threw that interception in double coverage. People were like, "Oh, Jimmy, why'd you throw it in double coverage? Oh, all quarterbacks make bad throws, blah, blah, blah," on Twitter. But then Jeff Wilson fumbles, and it's, "Oh, I can't believe you do that," and this and that. Like, okay, he gets the hate for fumbling, but where's the hate for Jimmy for throwing that interception? Like, I feel like some people in this fan base feel like certain positions are above reproach, and I can't stand that. Give the same hate that you gave to Jeff Wilson for fumbling at the end of the game that you do for Jimmy for not one but two mistakes: that interception, double coverage, and not seeing the back of the end zone for that safety. So don't give me this foolishness of, "Oh, well, Jimmy wins and all quarterbacks make bad throws." I agree with that, but give the same hate for all players. So what I will say is, I usually don't do this, but I'm gonna talk my stuff today. Everybody called me a hater, not a real fan, all this other nonsense. Why'd you pick in the Broncos? Because I knew what was gonna happen. I said the Broncos were going to win this game. I penciled it in as a loss. I am just because I picked them to win, just doesn't mean I'm not a 49ers fan. So give me my flowers. No, I'm just playing. I don't care about flowers. I'm a grown man. I don't need no flowers
Give
whenever
me some
I'm
black
right.
ass flowers, all right?
But here's the thing. I saw this game plan coming. I said 23-20 was my prediction. It was a close game still. I thought there would be a little bit more points scored than this. I just felt like this defense, people were sleeping on this defense. Everybody's like, "Oh, they let the Houston Texans stick around." And look, as we've been seeing the last few weeks, we don't know who's what yet. We've seen the Colts just beat the Chiefs. We've seen Jacksonville beat the brakes off of LA Chargers in LA. So we don't know who's who yet. So I just saw, I stuck with my guns, and I said that this game, we were going to lose this game because I had it penciled in going into Mile High was going to be a tough game. That defense is pretty good, as you guys can see. I'm going to give you a little bit of pushback on the play calling, Denise. I'm going to give Kyle a little bit of blame.
That's fine.
Yeah. So what bugs me about Kyle sometimes is he doesn't stick to what's working. When things are working, he goes away from it for some reason. Like, I know he has a game script, but sometimes you have to coach outside the box. So when you see something,
the run was working. You say the run was working.
I feel like early on it looked pretty good with Jeff Wilson. He was running the ball, but here's my issue. What I'm going to say with this too. Kyle needs to stop using Deebo behind the line of scrimmage.
Hold on, Tio. James, I appreciate you coming in, and I'll take the hate from about Russ, whatever, but I will not tolerate anybody coming here talking shit about Lance hurting himself.
Yeah, no.
So
that's not cool.
You earned yourself a way out of here. Goodbye.
Yeah, James. Good. I'm glad you blocked that clown.
No,
But
TL,
yeah.
I don't have any issues with anyone talking hate on Kyle. What
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was gonna
Well, I'm not
say,
talking hate. This is what I'm saying. Like Debo,
I
like he's gonna get that man hurt too.
I didn't think the run was working. That's what
Mhm.
I was saying. I don't think the run was working. That's why I think he went away from it, because it was working in the first quarter, like the first half. It was their first quarter, not even the first half. It was working, and then they started stacking the box like they always do because of fucking Jimmy. That's what I
Yeah.
think. That's the whole reason I think Kyle went and got Trey, because like people know that Jimmy is not the, throw outside the numbers quarterback. Maybe
Well,
I'm wrong. I don't
yeah.
know.
Here's the thing. Here's what I'll say. And I still do believe that Kyle is a top 5 play caller in this league. I don't know what's going on, but I feel like the creativity just isn't there. He just came out and said, I know he's his quarterback and he's supposed to praise him. He just said that, I mean, don't take it for verbatim, but pretty much like Jimmy is one of the best throwers of the football. Did you guys see that? I don't know what comment he had made or whatever the case may be, and I'll find it when
I
Mariah's
did see
talking.
that, and I
He
agree
said,
with you. I think
yeah.
Kyle must have smoked a blunt before he came out and said that.
So here's the thing. You need to,
Ain't
when your
nothing wrong with
offense
that.
isn't working, get creative. Get a little bit more creative with what's going on. He obviously, and we all can say what we want. We know what we see. We don't think that Jim is a good quarterback, but Kyle, you obviously think he's good enough to keep him on this team and win you games. So start getting a little bit more creative. But what I will say is the uses of Debo behind that line of scrimmage, I'm not feeling that. Over a long season, he's gonna get that man hurt. Like, and I get it. He wants to play the wide back role. I don't think he should touch the ball as a running back no more than 5 times, in my opinion. Like, I don't know. You brought up
What
Marlon Mack. You brought up Marlon Mack. You brought up you had 3 running backs that were on the roster tonight to start or whatever, or to that were active. And I'm like, why aren't you
Mhm.
using all of them? I don't know. I just feel like Debo, and you saw how he got out the
Now
game.
that
He ran out on his own power, but and
that
we're
I get.
blessed. Yeah, and we're blessed to see that because it could have been a lot worse. We could have had to bring out a gurney on this man too. So Kyle, I just think he needs to change up his game plan in just a little bit. I mean, we have too many weapons on the team to not be utilized. Like use
No,
use check more in the backfield, whatever the case may be. So I think
I
Kyle's
agree
game
with you.
plan needs to be a little bit better. His play calling tonight was a little lackluster, in my opinion.
He said
But
something, and I'm not, and I can't quote him because I don't know if he said something. Someone, and it wasn't even Grant. Someone asked him this, and I wish I would have like paid better attention to what the question was and what Kyle's answer was, because Kyle really did break it down to why he doesn't switch out like the running backs all the time, like like switch them. It wasn't even like the hot hand. It had something to do with like gap scheme coverage, or like something to do with they have to know the gap scheme coverage or something. I don't know. And he said the rookies aren't there yet. So that's part. I don't, again, TL, do not quote me on that because I don't know exactly what Kyle said, but he did answer the question, and he did actually say there is a reason why he doesn't like why he wasn't putting more of the rookies in, like, and it wasn't this game. It was like the game before or whatever, when he was like sticking with Jeff Wilson, and people were like, why the fuck aren't you using the other running backs? He did answer that question. I don't know exactly verbatim what he said, but I do agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I agree with you 100%. I wish he would like switch up the running backs. I agree with you on Debo too. I think like if you're going to run Debo, I would prefer that. My thing with Debo though is Jimmy's going to get someone killed too, because
oh, for
Jimmy's
sure.
passes are too fucking high. Like Debo jumped up for that one pass and he caught. Someone's going to take Debo out that way
Yep.
too. Like, so my thing is like, like I get people saying Kyle needs to watch how he runs these players because he's going to get them hurt. Well, our quarterback's going to get them killed too by throwing the ball so damn high that they have to jump up, and then someone's going to undercut their knees and they're going to end up on their back. So, I mean, I do agree with you. Me personally, what I would like to see from Kyle, and this isn't me bashing him, but I do agree with you on the play calling as far as like him mixing it up. I don't understand why, and I think I said this on Mariah's last show. I don't understand why Kyle doesn't do two use 2 tight end sets and more motions with that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know if it's because he needs them for blocking, because our O-line is not up to snuff. I don't know why, but I wish he would use 2 tight end sets, or even 2 tight end sets with using use check. You know what I mean? Like, look at the phenomenal catch that Juice had, with the toe drag swag, and the catch, like, that was phenomenal. Like, I wish he would use Debo, and I'm almost positive I've said this before, more as a decoy. You know what I mean? Like, look like you're going to, hand it off to Debo, or, throw it to Debo, and then, have Kyle and, use check, running free or whatever, and fucking throw it out to one of them.
And Miriah, before you go, this is what I'll say too, and you and I mentioned this the last game. It's like, it's cool to have Debo back there, and like you said, Denise, you as a decoy. But I think like 99% of the time when Debo lines up behind the line of scrimmage, he gets the ball. So people know it's coming. So that's why I say, like, if you're gonna have him back there, people are gonna be back there thinking, oh, okay, Debo's on the field. He's probably gonna get the ball, and for the most part, he does. Yeah. So if that cross line scrimmage, that's when Kyle needs an audible or something and be like, okay, let me do this. Okay, now if I audible, and here's my issue with the whole thing. I'm not gonna question Kyle as a game planner, because obviously he knows tons of more football than I do. My opinion is have a couple of scripts for backup plans, because you look at film all week and you say, okay, this team is weak up the middle against the run, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. So Kyle could probably have like 24 to 25 plays that are scripted to start the game. He's going to run them no matter what. Okay, that's not working. I'm not going to keep calling the same stuff and hindering my offense when the defense is playing their tails off. Okay, they're now they're not so weak at stopping the run up the middle. They're stopping, they're being good at stopping us. Now I see that XYZ is open. Okay, now I'm going to flip the script and change my play calling and start doing this. But I feel like Kyle's just like, he feels like sometimes he's such a genius. Like, if I keep calling my plays, eventually they're going to work. You know what I mean? And sometimes you just have to think outside the box. Like, you have to be like, okay, man, like I said, Denise, if I'm running you, if I have my plan to run you 15 times up the middle, and then the first 8 times it works, and the next 7 times are stopping you, you're getting negative yards or 1 yards. And I'm like, man, I still want to run Denise up the middle, because that's what they're weak at. But at the same time, when they make adjustments, you make adjustments. You know what I'm saying? So that's the issue. So
I agree with
Miriah,
that.
I'm done. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I agree with that 200%.
Yeah.
I do. I agree with that. I don't have any fault with that. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. When we were streaming the game over there, that's one of the things that we talked about, was the whole Debo in the backfield thing. Every time Debo's in the backfield, 95% of the time he gets the ball.
Yeah.
It's like you have to switch it up. You have to change it up. And then what really pissed me off is you talked about, Debo getting that, him walking off, whatever. He had to go into the tent. His very next play in, you run him up the fucking middle.
Yep.
Like, we almost just lost him. And the very next play, the man comes in the fucking game. You run him up the fucking middle.
And he got smacked too.
Yeah. That's the shit that I can't stand. Like, I love Kyle, but come on. Like, Debo goes down, that's our fucking season. Bears Kingdom's in here saying 49ers have no shot at the playoffs. Debo goes down, we're done. Debo's done, we're fucking done.
To be honest with you, I'm a little nervous about Trent Williams going down.
Yeah.
At some point, there has to be fault to Kyle. Like, we can't just keep letting him get the pass. It's not always just everybody's fucking fault but Kyle's.
No. And that is one thing I need to make very, very clear. I have never once, never have I ever said that Kyle is above, because people always come at me and say, oh, you say he's above reproach. You don't ever criticize Kyle. Yes, I do. Kyle is not perfect. He is not perfect. My issue is people saying he needs to be fired. He needs to be canned. He sucks. I'm like, no. Sorry. No, that I do absolutely 200% disagree with. Kyle does not need to be fired. Is Kyle perfect? No, he's fucking far from it. Kyle fucks up all the time. I'll be the first person to admit it. I agree with you guys on the Debo. I agree with TL on, using different things and making adjustments and not running people up the gut and, doing all that. I agree with that. I don't have any qualms with any of that. I agree with all that stuff. What I am saying is Kyle is not perfect. but neither is any other coach in the NFL. That's what I hate, is when people get on Twitter and they're like, oh, he sucks. He's the worst he's the worst coach in the NFL.
But you know what happens when coaches have losing records in any other team in the NFL? They get fired.
But you know what?
There's been coaches with winning records that don't get to the playoffs one single year and they get fired.
Yeah.
I mean Marty Schottenheimer years ago went 12-4 with the Chargers when they were still in San Diego, and they let that man go. So
yeah, Kyle has a losing record still. A losing record. And I'm not saying he should get fired. I don't think so. But how many years are we going to keep giving him a chance? Oh, it's the injuries. Oh, it's that. Oh, this is. Well, every fucking team in the NFL can use those same excuses. And guess what? They can't. Their coaches get fired. If his name was Bob Stoops, he wouldn't be fucking having this job right now. He would be fucking fired already.
Yeah.
The fact that his name's Kyle fucking Shanahan, he gets away with everything.
I agree. He gets too much.
He's been fed with a silver spoon his entire life, and it just keeps on happening. And until that stops, he's never gonna fucking learn from any mistakes he makes. Because up until this point, every mistake that Kyle has made, he has not fucking learned from. We can say that for Jimmy. Well, we can say the same for Kyle.
Yeah, Miriah, preach.
I'm tired of this shit.
Yeah, he does have a losing record, but there's context to it, and I'm sorry.
And you can use that same context for every coach in the fucking NFL.
And I agree, and I'm not disagreeing with you. But again, I'm not fans of those teams, so I don't argue their cases. Like I get what you're saying. Like I didn't want Jim Harbaugh fired. No one asked my fucking opinion. Like no one asked me. Like I didn't want him fired, but he got fired anyways. Like I would have fired our GM before I fired Jim Harbaugh.
Absolutely.
Like I couldn't stand our GM, but Jed York fired Harbaugh and fucking, kept the GM. That's not what I would have done. But, I ain't the fucking owner of the team. But my thing is right now, who are we hiring? Like everyone wants him gone. Who are you bringing in that's better than him? Right now.
Here's the thing though, what I will say about that.
He's a top 10 coach in the NFL. I don't care what anyone fucking says. He's a top 10 coach in the NFL. And if you think you're going to go out there and fucking hire someone who's going to come in and do a better job, his 2 first years, he was rebuilding. And then the 1 year.
So are most coaches that take over teams.
No, I get that. But he came into a fucking dumpster fire. His first 2 years, he was rebuilding. He's been here 6 years. First 2 years, he was rebuilding. The 1 year, he had $81 million on fucking injured reserve. And then the other year, he went to NFC Championship, Super Bowl, and then we won the NFC title. I'm sorry. He's not that bad of a fucking head coach. I'm sorry. He's not. Is he perfect? No, he's far fucking from it. But he's not a fucking shitty head coach. He's not.
He's not. But sometimes coaches wear out their welcomes. You can't just keep a coach for fucking 15 years and then never fucking do shit. The goal is winning the fucking Super Bowl. I don't give a shit about he won this NFC. He won the NFC. You've been to the NFC. I don't give a shit. Do we have another Super Bowl ring? Because at the end of the day, that's what fucking matters. Until that happens, then fuck it. Because he's not fucking doing what he's here to do.
And here's my thing. Is he a top 10 coach? I do agree with that. He is a top 10 coach.
Okay,
but here's the thing, though.
We care about, then what's Mike Tomlin still doing in fucking the Steelers?
We don't care about those teams because we're not fans of those teams. Remember? That's what you just told me.
Mike Tomlin's won 2 Super Bowls. What are we talking about here?
Fucking winning record, too.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but when were those Super Bowls won?
Mike
like 10 years ago.
Every single year that
he won. It was like 10 years ago. The Niners haven't won one in 94. Help me do the math.
I will say this about Tomlin.
But
he's a great coach. No.
I am not knocking Tomlin. I love Mike Tomlin as a coach. Like when we fired Harbaugh, if I could have picked a coach, it would have been him. I think Mike Tomlin is a stellar coach. I just don't think Kyle Shanahan should be fired. That's all.
The thing. Here's what I will say about that. Mike Tomlin, like Miriah said, it's been a while since he's won the Super Bowl, but he has too. And he, in his 15 years or whatever him coaching, he has never had a losing record. And I don't care what the situation is, whether Ben Roethlisberger has missed. I mean, this dude won games with Mason Rudolph at quarterback. Yeah. So he makes adjustments, and this is what I'm talking about. Like Kyle doesn't make. I feel like this team, yes, as good as we are, I feel like we're stagnant.
If Mike Tomlin has a roster like this, he wins the Super Bowl Because usually the Steelers don't have that great of a roster because they're a very conservative franchise. They're a very conservative franchise.
And here's what I'll say. It's like it's like these things where, like everybody always says, who's better than who's better. We don't know who's better because we don't know until we give them a chance. So here's what I'll say about that. It's like when you're a GM of a company, or let's just say a president of a company. Denise, you might have gained me excellent production, but at the end of the day, I'm looking at it as like, me, you've been stagnant, you've been doing this. I can't sit around and say like, oh, Denise, her numbers hasn't done anything in a long time. She stays at this point here. Let's see what we can do to replace her. And it's like going to a job interview when people pass up on people because they look at resumes and, oh, maybe he doesn't do this or that. You got somebody out there like a Eric Bieniemy who gets passing over. You don't know if he can come in and do a better job. You got people like Ken Dorsey who developed Josh Allen. You don't know what he can do. So to sit there and say who's better, we don't know that. So I think that's not fair to sit there and say, because me as a manager, of a company I work for, sometimes the people with no experience come in and do a better job. Because people get stagnant. Oh, well, I'm doing this. I know they're not going to fire me, so I'm going to give them the bare minimum. I'm not saying that's Kyle. I'm just saying some people will give you the bare minimum because they get comfortable. Then you hire somebody else to do the same job, and it's like, man, because they're hungry, they got something to prove, which I feel where Miriah is coming from. Do I want him fired? No. But at the same time, I know where Miriah is coming from. I feel like he does have a little silver spoon in his mouth, and that last name Shanahan holds some weight in this league. So I feel like it's okay for anybody to talk about the quarterback, talk about the special teams coach, a corner, a head coach, whatever the case may be, if they see that there's something that's out of line. So that's my opinion on it. So yeah, I don't agree with the who can we find better, because we don't know that. Nobody thought that Jacksonville would come out there when their first year of head coach. They're looking good. Defense is stellar. Like, you just don't know. And whoever they got as head coach, I don't even know who the head coach is.
Yeah, because you're not somebody until you're somebody, right?
Exactly. So you hit the nail on the head with that one, Swan. So that's my opinion. Like I said, I'm with you, Denise. I don't think he's going to be fired. He is a top 10 coach. I do give him a pass for 2017, 2018. But going into your sixth year, I just feel like this team just looks a little stagnant, where it's like, I mean, I got fans sitting here, like, oh, well, why was there to complain about? We made 2 NFC championships in the Super Bowl. And you know what? We have no Lombardi to show for it.
Yeah. So, and the thing is, like, that's not my era at all. I know some of these new kids, that's the era. Not all of them, but some of them think, hey, we make the playoffs and we're relevant. It's all good because I can have, one party a year at the end, and we can have a big playoff game. Like, that's, maybe I'm cursed because I got to see, 3 Super Bowl wins, and now I see playoffs as like, okay, cool, we're finally relevant again. But
I'm older than all of you. Like, I grew up in the Joe Montana days. Like, I watched all those Super Bowls. Like, I'm an old lady. Like, trust me, no one wants to win number 6 more than I do. Like,
you're
I
only
would
as
love
old
to
as you
get
feel,
number 6.
Denise.
I'm an old woman. Like, I watched those games. Like, Jerry Rice is my favorite player of all time. Like, as far as I'm concerned, Joe Montana is the GOAT, not fucking Tom Brady's punk ass. Like, it's like, I fucking, that's who my team is. Like, that's who I love. That's who I follow. But, again, could I be wrong? Absolutely, I could be wrong. Could you guys all prove me wrong? Could we hire someone else and they come in here and take
no one's saying that, though. I don't think anyone's saying that here. I think the conversation needs to be had, though. It's like, it's not like just because we're criticizing doesn't mean that, oh yeah, you want to fire you're a retard. Kyle knows more than you. Like, I like, when I hear her speak like that, I just instantly think, okay, I can't really even communicate with the person like that, because that's like, oh, you know what? Why? Wait. It's the same thing as like, hey, what? Why do you judge our president? Because you can't be a president. Like, you're not up there being a president. It's the same shit. It's like, why is Trump doing such a bad job? Well, you never were as a politician, so what do you got shit to say about? Like, it's the same.
Swan, that brings me to something you just said.
That line is always cracked me up, because it's like, okay.
That comment you just made, Swan, was fun.
You know what I'm saying, though. I'm not talking about politics. You know exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. I know what you're saying because somebody, I'm just, and I'll make this comment and we will move forward. I just laugh because I forgot the female's name, but she came on Twitter last week and was like, if you don't support Kyle, if you don't support Jimmy, then that you're not a true Niner fan. You might as well change teams. And it's like, okay, well, and I asked her back, okay, well, if somebody doesn't support the president of this country, should they move out of the United States? No. People can have their opinion if they don't feel like something is being ran properly. This is a free country. We can say whatever we want. So people have an opinion. I don't care if somebody does say, "Oh, I need I want Kyle fired." Okay, but it's funny because when we hear that, people get up in arms. But when people hear, "Oh, John Lynch should be fired," nothing. When all we hear is Kyle makes a final decision.
Yeah, that's another thing.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what's funny to me.
And okay,
I don't think Trump should be fired.
My biggest thing is like as far as like we know that Kyle's creative with the play scheming and all that stuff, right? He's definitely competent there. Everyone says it. We have no reason not to believe he's not competent there, right? Play calling, that's a different story. I don't even want to touch that. But as far as my biggest negligence of what this franchise did was when they went, because we all know they were all desperate. They tried to do what? They tried to get every quarterback and their mother, right? Before they ended up settling for going up to 3, right? Going up to 3 and getting Trey Lance, right? But then at that point, commit to what you're going to do. Because everyone, when that move happened, everyone said, you're going to have a locker room nightmare. You're going to have this locker room nightmare. Every GM does this. Every GM knows that this can happen, right? When has it ever, like this situation with Jimmy G, when has that ever happened, right? When you like fire the guy and he's actually comes back as a backup because we couldn't trade him. Like I don't ever remember that. And okay, Jimmy G he did not look good tonight. But if you want to be fair to Jimmy G, and you know me, I'm so critical of Jimmy G, you know me. But if you want to be fair, this dude did not have a camp. This literally guy's like, how many practices has he had?
Swan,
8?
nope.
9?
I'm gonna push back on that.
I'm not okay. No.
That's what I say. Because when they asked him about that, he said, "Oh, I don't really need that." It's like
yeah. That's besides. I'm just saying we know what we have with Jimmy. At this point, I'm kind of like, it's not Jimmy's fault that Jimmy is doing this. We put Jimmy. If you let the blind guy drive the car, whose fault is it? The blind guy or the person that let him drive the car?
Person who gave him the keys.
Yeah,
so it's both of their faults. It's both of their faults.
Yeah, it's both of their faults. But you get what I'm saying. So it's like I don't even know what to say. It's like, yeah,
you're getting booed off the stage anyway.
Yeah. Getting booed off the stage. No, I see what you're saying, though. Because if I'm the one who's giving the blind guy the keys, it's shame on me for giving somebody who can't see the keys. But it's like the blind guy, it's his fault knowing he can't see and doing the driving anyway. Right. So it's both of their faults.
Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. And then the defense played so damn like how, dude, you cannot ask a D to do what they did today and not win the game. They dominated that game tonight, man. And I knew it. I was watching my son, and he's like, "Oh, we got this game, Dad." And I go, "Dude, you don't want Russell Wilson to hang around because everything will be fine, and then he'll score 7 on your ass, right?" And then, sure enough, it fucking happens exactly. And then another thing is, we're lucky that Jimmy G stepped out of bounds at the freaking end zone because that would have been 7 points instead of 2. That was just like, what in the world? Oh my God. Yeah. But the thing is, okay, it doesn't look good, right? They're 1-2, but this defense is balling out. This defense is going to be still good, right? Offense, yes. I kind of knew it, and that's why I put up the stat early this week. I said the key stat that everyone should be paying attention to is how many rushing yards this team ends up getting. Because in the first 2 games, they averaged 182 yards, right? 182 yards. And that's because I think it's because of Trey Lance. Because Trey Lance can beat you even the threat of Trey Lance could beat you in your field and makes the defense play honest, right? Well, today you saw it again, right? Other than the Jeff Wilson 37-yard run, the Niners had like 53 yards rushing, dude. 53 yards. They only got 80-something tonight. And on a game that was back and forth, a low-scoring game, Like you can see 80 yards rushing when you're getting blown out. You know, like if it's 40-13, then you give up on the run and then you're getting blown out and you end up with under 100 yards. But the Niners should never be under 100 yards since we're a team predicated on the run. That's what we do. That would be like having Mahomes pass for 100 yards. You're not going to win if Mahomes pass for 100 yards.
Yeah.
What you got, Miriah?
I don't got nothing.
Yeah, so
I'll try it out.
credit to this defense, man. You know, this offense needs to get it together. I mean, I hear what you're saying, Swan, about Jimmy not being able to practice and all this stuff, but you know, when you've been in an offense for 5, 6 years, you know, I get it. But at the same time, he wasn't practicing with the team. He has chemistry with 90% of the guys.
Right.
And
Right.
two, he was still practicing. He was still on his own. It's not like he was just sitting in the bleachers and watching us, you know, from the stands. He was out there throwing, he was jogging, he was doing his thing, he was working out. And the playbook, he already knows it. So, you know,
Yeah.
and he even said it himself because somebody brought it up at the report, like, man, you know, you went out there and you were doing your thing. Oh, it's just like riding a bike. So he don't even think it's a problem that he didn't practice. So I don't think we can use the excuse of him not having a camp and all this other stuff. But I just hope this offense gets it together. Like I said, I predicted us to lose this game. I just thought that Denver, if people were writing them off because, oh, they played the Texans and they didn't look good. They lost to Seattle and we just blew them out. People make adjustments, and they did that. Their defense came out, they did their thing. And the thing is about it too, this offense needs to get it together because if we don't, it's going to be a lot of games like this. We play some pretty tough teams in Tampa Bay, and I know they're kind of looking lackluster right now. Chargers looking lackluster, but at the same time, you know, week to week, you just never know what team you're getting. Sometimes
Yeah.
teams come in on fire. Like I said, who would have thought Jacksonville would have blew out the Chargers today?
Yeah.
Who would have thought the Colts just lost 24-0
Yeah.
last week to Jacksonville, and they go and they beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. So we just don't know. But if the offense don't get it together, this defense is going to be tired by week 9.
The Lions are
By
almost
week
3-0.
9.
The Lions,
Yeah, they're going to be tired by week 9 because it's not fair to D'Amico Ryans and what he's doing with that defense, and Chris Kasarik and that defensive line. They're out there doing their thing. And Kyle, you're such an offensive genius. You make it work. And for the people that always want to stand up for Jimmy, oh, he wins. When Kyle's in this game, okay. Well, if you guys believe in him so much, and Kyle believes in him because he kept him on the team, then something's got to give. He has to execute a game plan to play to Jimmy's strengths. And I know there's not many of them. But at the same time, an offensive genius usually can make somebody work. I mean, like we said, everybody's brought back all the teams that he's coached as far as, you know, like offensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns. I mean, Matt Schaub looks solid. He turned Matt Ryan into an MVP. I mean, he has what it takes. And it's a shame because we have all these weapons. Kittle was back healthy today.
Dude, look at
Juszczyk, Ayuk, Debo. I mean, we have so many weapons, yet we score 10 points of offense. Yeah, 7 of them came in the first quarter.
Meanwhile, left-handed Jimmy G on Miami is leading the league in touchdowns.
Yeah.
Right? He has 7 TDs or something like that. Left-handed Jimmy G.
So yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I still believe in Kyle. I think he can get it together. As we saw when we were down 3 last year, 3-5, he turned it around and we did our thing. And you know, so hopefully he gets together sooner than later because his schedule is not going to get any easier. Like I said, I know the Chargers got beat down today, but we still got to play the Chargers. We got Tampa Bay.
The Chargers were hurt. They'll get healthy.
Huh?
The Chargers were hurt today. They'll get healthy.
Yeah, they'll get healthy.
Herbert
yeah, exactly.
Was hurt.
Herbert was hurt. So yeah, so you just never know who's going to come in and do their thing. So,
yeah, the good thing that we have to. Okay, I know that you guys are probably not here. I mean, I'm not even there yet, but I want to say that the NFC is still wide open. It sucks to be 1-2, definitely. And next week, they better not go down 1-3. That's all I gotta say. But you know, because there's even more nightmares down the road, right? We got to play the Chargers this year. We got to play Tampa. We got to play Miami. We got to play KC. We still have all those teams. This was supposed to be the easy part of the schedule, right? Well, not Denver, but I always thought I penciled this in as a loss at the beginning of the year, but I never thought for sure we were going to lose that game because I always thought that Denver was going to be overrated. And I think even though they won tonight, Denver's still figuring it out. And that's the scary thing, is that Denver's still figuring it out. You know, that we didn't, even if the Niners won tonight, they did not beat a very good NFL team tonight just because they have the
Yeah,
talent,
Denver,
but they're not in sync. They're definitely not in sync, and they've
Denver
proved that
has a
right in the
really
last
solid
2
defense.
other games. They're not in
Yeah, they
sync.
do, Denise. I think he's talking about you're talking about on offense, right? Because I think
Yeah,
like
on
you
the
look at
offense,
the
on the offense.
offense does not look good. And what's sad about it is, we beat. I mean, these 3 games I thought we were going to be 2-1 after these 3 games, but looking at it, like we look good offensively against Seattle, whatever the case. We look pretty solid, but at the same time, it's like we lost to two teams that offense has been looking stagnant all year so far. The Bears have been terrible. Everybody thought to pencil that in as a win. Oh, they're trash, and that. We can't overlook anybody. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think, but you're right, Swan. The Broncos. Yeah, look at Russell Wilson, and I know, and I have no negativity and no thoughts about him. He's going to figure it out. He's Russell Wilson. He'll
He's
do
gonna
his
figure it
thing.
out.
They got weapons: Sutton, Hamler, Jerry Judy. They got weapons. They got a run game. He'll figure it out. And the fact that they don't have much chemistry yet, and they're still 2-1 is kind of scary. So yeah, I see what you're saying when you say that they haven't figured it out yet, and that's sad because we had the edge on every single team that we've played so far, as far as offense and defense, and we still haven't had a chance to figure it out. This team should not be 1-2.
You can't
right
give
now. I'm
away
sorry.
games. We gave away the Bears game. They
Yep.
dominated that game too, and then they went freaking brain fart and started committing all these penalties, right? And then this game, God, Denver wasn't doing anything at that point
At all.
Dude, if we had like just mediocre production on offense, it could have been at least 17-0,
17 points.
17-3 or something. Even just mediocre. But how many third down conversions did they not convert
They
today?
were 0-9 before they converted a third down.
Oh my God! I was just thinking, how many times they were getting good field position at times as well. It was
0-9.
Dude, it was so bad. It was the whole damn 49ers experience with. That it seemed like, and then when Jimmy had the ball when we were driving, I was having the freaking NFC Championship flashbacks again. Like with the first play he gets sacked. Remember? I was like, oh God, here we go again.
Yeah, I felt that's funny you said that. As soon as he threw that interception in double coverage, I was like, this reminds me of the NFC Championship all over again. I'm driving down the field with a chance to win. He said the same thing, Denise. Yeah, it looked just like it, didn't it? Like, oh my God, we have a chance to win. We could have won with
well, you know what?
whatever the case may be. Nope.
Maybe you guys are right. Maybe the answer honestly is to fire everybody and start over, because then, we can bring in the new head coach, the new GM. They can start fresh with Trey Lance. We can rebuild the team, and then no one will expect shit from us because we'll be rebuilding. And then we'll get rid of Jimmy G and everything, and we'll start all over. And maybe that is the answer.
Well, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen.
John Lynch will get scapegoated. That's what will happen.
Oh, most definitely that's what's going to happen.
No, I'm not talking about I'm talking about all of it.
Well, the thing about it is,
we know what you're talking about, but I'm talking about what will happen. John Lynch will get scapegoated.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. If we go like 8-9 or 9-8, and we miss the playoffs, I can almost guarantee you that the one who will be fired is going to be John Lynch.
Yeah, and like the thing about it is, another thing is like being a fan for a long time. I remember you used to always watch teams, and they see that they wheel out the same team, and they never get anywhere, and you're always wondering, dude, they just need to start. They need to like change it up, right? And that's the only way you're going to get somewhere is to change it up. And it doesn't have to be and they try to change it with Lance, right? They try to do that, right? But I don't think they had very much conviction in it either. I don't think they went balls to the wall. They never took a leap of faith other than when they got him. Like they got him was the leap of faith, but they never committed to that leap of faith, right? They just said, oh, well, you know what? We're going to try. They wanted their cake and eat it too. That's what happens. And sometimes that works out when you do that. But when it doesn't work out, this is what it looks like.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear the press conferences and see
because
what happens.
The bottom line is like we're like, I mean, I do agree with you guys on one point. Like we have to be able to score. And now that Jimmy is the one throwing the ball, we're fucked. Because let's call a spade. Let's call
49er throwback said. Yep.
They're gonna have
49er throwback in the comments.
Like the
bottom line is, we're not going to be able to compete with the Josh Allens, the Patrick Mahomes, the Chargers, like, you know, like, yeah, thank you, the Herberts. Like, we're not going to be able to compete with those teams. There's no fucking way, man. We're not going to be able to compete. And what's funny is people thought I was full of shit, but I said that even with Trey Lance this year, I did not expect us, even if we made it to, you know, like a title game, I expected us to be one and done, even with Trey Lance, just because of him being inexperienced. I didn't think that we would, you know.
I see what you're saying, and that's how I felt too. But at least there was a hope that he would be better at the end.
No,
you know what
I'm
I mean?
not.
And
I'm not
like that's how. I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just saying that's. I'm trying to clarify it. You know, articulate it. Is that there's this hope at least that. We don't know what we're seeing, but we know what we're seeing with Jimmy. That's the thing. We know. We've seen this movie every time. Like, we've seen it 6 times now. So, and the thing about it is, and that's the problem. And that's the problem. And the thing is,
we can't compete with this team.
And that's the problem when you have fans that are just happy with playoffs. When it's just like, oh yeah, it's cool. Playoffs are cool. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't know. It just,
at least
like
that's
said,
my
Denise,
opinion. I don't think we can compete with those teams.
Well, here's the thing that comes down to it too. Like, you know, can we win a Super Bowl? Yes, our roster is good enough. But if the thing is, where the weakest link that we have is that the one who touches the ball every play on offense, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's the main issue. So you're right. You're right, Denise. We get into a shootout, something like that. And it's not fair to the run game and the defense to play stellar week in and week, because they're going to have their bad weeks too. We can't depend on them to have stellar weeks every single week to be able to carry this team to a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And that's what the worst part is. Like, we're all we're asking of Jimmy is play efficient, don't turn the ball over. Well, he turned the ball over every once in a while. Or do we expect? I mean, it's any quarterback.
Dude, you know what was crazy?
Yeah.
When they started off that drive with Jimmy passing, right? And I was like, wow, this reminds me of the 80s 49ers where you pass to set up the run. Because that's what the 80s teams used to do. They pass and set up the run, right? And I go, okay, I kind of like what they're doing right now. Like, will it last? you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, this looks pretty good. And it'll open up the run game. And sure enough, Jeff Wilson Jr. gets that big ass run. And then soon as Jimmy stopped making plays, then it was back to like, okay, this is what the offense we know. And then now Denver's like, okay, we'll just play Jimmy the way everyone's played Jimmy. Start clogging it up. And then you get, and the thing about it, when you do that for defenses, you gain two things. You not only help against the Niners Niners run game, but you help on stopping Jimmy. So that's the thing. We become like one-dimensional in that fact, where they can just play one defense pretty much and then rely on that. And we could not get past it. Sure, there was a couple of throws here and there. At least we saw that. Like the little mediocre bombs, the underthrown pass to Debo that got, they caught it. And then he missed Debo wide open to the right side. He didn't even throw it. He looked like on the replay, he was looking that side. He read his read to the right, and then he went to left, right? When it looked like he could have thrown that, maybe he didn't have confidence to throw it, or Debo wasn't open at the time when he was reading that progression. But I don't know, man.
Let me read this quote real quick from Shanahan, because I guess at the pressure they asked him something. It says Shanahan talks Jimmy G safety. 49ers head coach says he put Garoppolo in a tough situation on play. He stepped out of the own end zone. So do you think he's giving him a pass, or do you think he put him in a bad situation? Because I don't care what the situation is. You're at the one or wherever the case may be. I think what the end zone's 10 yards or something like that. An 8-year vet should be able to know how far he's back into the end zone before the. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Like stop giving this man a pass.
See,
Kyle's finally taking the blame for some of these things because he's been hearing in the media how he never takes the blame for stuff, and now
he shouldn't blame on Jimmy. Kyle has never put gets up there and puts the blame on Jimmy. He always says, "Oh, Jimmy played good. This wasn't on Jimmy. Jimmy, blah blah blah. Jimmy's great. Jimmy's fine. Jimmy's good." He never fucking puts the blame on Jimmy. So no, it's not just because he's hearing that in the media that now he's trying to take blame. That's bullshit. Because he never fucking puts the blame on him.
Go ahead, Denise.
I was just going to say, I agree with Miriah. Kyle always sticks up for Jimmy. And just like PL said earlier, when Kyle said that stupid fucking quote, which I'm like, okay, Kyle, I stick up for you, and I can't even stick up for this. Like, really? Jimmy throws the best ball in the NFL? Who the
Well, this is
fuck
what
are
he
you?
said. This is what he said real quick before you finish. He said Jimmy is one of the best thrower on the planet. That's what he said.
Yeah, okay, Kyle.
There's 7 billion people on the planet. So yeah,
it's like,
top
Kyle, what I
32,
do
that makes sense.
is put the blunt down that you just smoked and like, you know, come out of your high and then answer that question again, because you've got to be stoned out of your gourd to even think that. Because all of us know.
God, dude.
So everybody
It's
on
like,
the
you're
chat,
smoking that,
yeah,
you're smoking that THC level that's got that 25% shit. It's like,
and then those vets that wanted Jimmy back, well, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. So this is for everybody in the chat and all you guys on the stream right now. So and also it's early. It's only 3 weeks. So as of right now, our defense is allowing as we're third in the NFL in points per game, with averaging only 12.3 points per game. That's all. 12 points a game is what we're averaging. Our offense is 28th in the NFL. 20th in the NFL. We're averaging 15.7 points per game, and this is supposed to be a top 5 roster on offense and defense. I mean, we have some of the best weapons, I would say, as a whole in this NFL.
Jimmy, like, that's my point, is we left at least like the one throw to Debo, he was wide open, and Jimmy left him open. And the one thing that does piss me off is, and I don't know if it's true, not true, like Kyle needs to, like, I don't know if this is Kyle, if this is Jimmy, or what the fuck it is, but like, you need to, like, your quarterback has to be able to bail you out. Like, if you call a play and it's not there, or it's fucked up, or whatever, you know what I mean? The defense figures it out, or whatever the fuck happens. Like, your quarterback has to be able to bail you out. That's just what they're there for. That is their job. Like, if you call it, like everyone says, it's and it is play calling, but it's also like, you see Josh Allen do it. You see the stellar quarterbacks like the Josh Allens, the Herberts, the fucking, the Patty Mahomes. You see them do it all the time. They bail out their coaches all the time. And you have to have that. If you are going to win a Super Bowl, you have to have that quarterback to win a Super Bowl, because they have to be able to bail you out. You can't have the Super Bowl. You can't have a Super Bowl when your quarterback is getting his ball batted down at the line of scrimmage. You can't have that.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to hear you guys think. Do you guys think that they got Jimmy as the backup, but at the same time had little faith in Lance?
Yes.
Like, let's say, right? Do you guys believe that?
I think that. So here's what I feel. I feel like, everybody with the comments of Kyle was swayed to not take Trey. I don't really believe that. I think this is the first time in Kyle's career that he was able to pick a quarterback, like to run his offense. He never got to pick anybody. He went to Atlanta. The quarterback was already in place. Whether he was in Houston Texans, in Washington, there was a lot of chatter of the quarterback situation there and all this other stuff. But he's finally the head coach. He's finally the final decision maker. So I think he really truly wanted Lance. I just think, this is me personally, I think he wanted to go with Lance and really had a shot. Because let's just be honest here. I mentioned this before. Jimmy last year, his stats as a whole was 22 touchdowns and 18 turnovers. 22 touchdowns and 18 turnovers. I thought coming into the season, okay, I think Lance can emulate that, if not better. Can Lance give me 22 touchdowns as a whole?
Yeah.
Yes, I think he could have gave us at least 30. Maybe like 24 throwing and maybe 6 on the ground. Okay.
And then the other element of
and the turnovers.
Better.
Yeah, and then the turnovers. I expected a decent amount of turnovers as a rookie early on, maybe the first half of the season. Then he'd get it together. I felt like as time would go on, he would grow. And the reason why this team to me doesn't look like a Super Bowl roster is because, at least with Trey, yeah. So this is what I'll say with Jimmy has on Trey. He's not a better decision maker. He's a quicker decision maker.
Yeah.
Which as far as like when he sees somebody open, he gets the ball out. Like that's what I will say about Jimmy. He's a quicker decision maker. I wouldn't say he's a better decision maker. So I think that was one of the things that Trey Lance needed to work on as a quarterback, to just be quicker of getting the ball out.
And I felt
like as time went on, he would have learned that with getting his reps.
Right.
So to not be long-winded, I thought that Trey could emulate what Jimmy had, and the fact that he brings different elements, because with Jimmy at quarterback, he doesn't scare people with his arm. So it's always going to be this, let's crowd the box and let him try to beat us deep. At least with Trey, you have to respect his arm and you have to respect his legs. So he gives you the three different elements of like, man, I have to do this. So if he got to a Super Bowl, people would respect the deep ball and the run.
They play us honest.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they have to play us honest.
So I think what it comes down to is, and people can agree with me. I really don't care.
I agree.
I honestly believe. No. I'm saying what I'm going to say now. I think what it is this locker room just really didn't fully support Trey, and Kyle felt it. I felt like Kyle was being more, and I get it. Like you have, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm saying I get it. Like you want to
have buy-in. You
want to please your team, but at the same time, if I'm the final decision maker, I don't care what you say as players. This is what I'm going with. So I truly believe that a lot of these vets didn't really believe in Trey. I've said this before. When Trey got drafted, I thought, man, this is the best situation to go to. But now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, man, this team is so good. You got vets in there who are win now vets, been in the league for a decade. They're like, man, we have a Super Bowl roster. I don't think they had the patience to sit there and wait on a developmental quarterback. So I think that Kyle. So, and I don't think Kyle got swayed. I just think it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, let me just go ahead and go with stuff, because I feel like I said, I fully believe that this locker room as a whole didn't fully support Trey.
Yeah. I have a question, TL. I want to ask a question on that. Okay, so let me ask you something. So as a player, this is the part everyone says that, and here's what I don't understand. And I'm not disagreeing with you, by the way. I'm not disagreeing with you. My question is, if you're a player and you have played with Jimmy for the time you've played with him, even as a vet, and like Miriah so eloquently yelled at me and said that she was pissed off because we have not won a Super Bowl. So with that being said, Jimmy has taken us there and has not gotten us over the hump.
Sure.
In the NFC title game, we won that. So we fucked up in the NFC one game, right? We didn't make it there. The Rams beat us. And in the Super Bowl, he overthrew Emmanuel Sanders.
Why is the team? Yeah.
Yes. So my question is, why are those players who were there with Jimmy and they know Jimmy can't get it done, why would they give Kyle pushback? I don't understand
I have two things. I can answer, three things.
Go ahead, Swan.
One is that I think when you play with a guy and you bleed with a person and you've done a certain thing, you tend to not look so hard on his deficiencies because he's a brother, right? So you know what you're going to get, right? Two, remember, this is the same team that celebrated after a Super Bowl loss. Weird. Okay, whatever. That's just weird to me. And then three, I think like fans, you see Lance and you're like, well, if you're a player, you're like, I don't only have so many years left to play, right? I'll take our little chance. We were one throw away from getting a Super Bowl. I'd rather take that than the unknown, because you're more comfortable with the known than the unknown, right? And that's where it's like you can't even blame the players really, because that's how
but Jimmy couldn't get it done. He couldn't get it done, and they knew that.
The thing is, and the thing is that I can understand it from the players, but the players are going to be players. They're always going to probably react this like a very predictable way, and that's why Jimmy had to be lost, out of sight, out of mind. That was the only way the team was going to buy in on Trey, when Jimmy was out of the picture, right? Because when he's in the picture,
and if that's the case, and TL is right, and you're right, and that's the case, and he had people in that fucking locker room, who weren't 100% sold on fucking Trey, then Kyle Shanahan should have took those people, whoever they were, whether it was Hill, where it was Juszczyk, whether it was Trent Williams, I don't give a fuck who it was, whether it was those people. And I, as everyone always points out, I'm a huge Kyle supporter. He should have taken those people aside and said, you're either in or you're fucking out. You don't fucking like who I drafted. You don't like who's the new leader of the team, then I'm trading your ass.
Absolutely.
Fucking, I'm going to put you on the trade.
They don't bring Jimmy back. But the thing about it is, what is easier? Trying to piss off your whole team or get rid of one guy that you wanted to get rid of anyways? Like, what is easier?
But here's my thing. If they weren't buying into fucking Trey, here's my point. If they weren't buying into Trey, whether he got rid of Jimmy or not is not the fucking point. If they weren't going to support him, it didn't matter whether Jimmy was there or not. As a coach, if you have players on your team who aren't buying in, at that point, you need to fucking get them out of your building.
Yeah, I understand. I totally get where you're going.
That
and I don't think it's wrong.
He should have been like, you either buy in, like TL said, he's the coach. If he has final say, if they weren't buying in and they were being a bunch of crybabies, then they needed to get the fuck out. Get to fucking step.
The thing about it is it's easier said to say that than actually do it.
You would tell would trade
the bigger sin was to bring back Jimmy. That's the bigger sin.
Yeah.
But I think what she's saying is that if the team wasn't bought in
I totally
to
get
Trey, even if John Smith was the backup cornerback, the team wasn't going to be bought in on Trey. It didn't matter. If you would have cut Jimmy and Jimmy wasn't there, the team still wasn't bought in on Trey.
Yeah, I totally get it. And that's
Thank you, Miriah. That's exactly what I'm saying.
No, I totally get what you're saying. But what I'm saying is the easier way to not even have that problem is to get that guy out of here. Then you don't have a problem.
You would still have the problem, is what you're saying.
I think what it was I think what Denise is saying is whether we got rid of Jimmy or not, I think regardless, whether it's Trey or whoever it was, Zach Wilson, and you said it pretty good too, Swan. This team, regardless of what we think about Jimmy and him not getting it done, the team has had a taste of success. They've had a taste of what it could have been 3 times. You know what I'm saying? If you think about it, going to 2 NFC championships and a Super Bowl, they were this close with Jimmy at the helm. So they can look at it as like, okay, well, Jimmy missed a throw with Emmanuel Sanders, but what if he made it? And what if he do whatever? You know what I'm saying? So they feel like, well, maybe he can get it done. Maybe he can do this and that and the other, because they feel like, like you guys said, they've tasted success, or like, oh, well, if with at least Jimmy at the helm, at least I think we have a chance because we've seen it. With Trey, it's the unknown. So, and I get you, Denise. I don't care what nobody says. You got to have some thick skin. You got to sit there and say, this is our quarterback. We're not going to sit here and swap a first and trade 2 future first-round draft picks to have this kid not develop. You're on a rookie, and like everybody knows it. A lot of these teams have success on rookie quarterback deals. The Cincinnati Bengals, the Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs, stuff like that. They got to where they've gotten, being on a rookie quarterback, because you can use, instead of paying $25 million, use a $9 million and use that other money to fill in the pieces that you need. So I think that's what Kyle saw. He saw that the injuries, he saw that Jimmy wasn't good enough to get it done. But then you're contradicting yourself by saying, oh, Jimmy's not our guy because I'm going to trade 2 future first and swap, but yet I'm going to keep him around on this football team.
Shit or get off the pot. Yeah, shit or get off the pot already. Like, geez, just like, and the thing about it is, even if they didn't get Trey and just kept Jimmy, they could have gotten players from that too. It's like, dude, make a freaking decision and go with it. Don't have this both ways bullshit. At least it'd be easier to freaking live with. God damn.
Yeah. I'm a little bit more cutthroat. Like, I'm with like me and Miriah have talked about this before. It's like, I don't care what you say. If I'm the man of that team, who has a final say, you either get in or you get out.
Yeah, but Kyle is a players coach, right?
He is, but
he's a bro.
Yeah. Yes, and that's why it's like, look, this is what we're doing. I had posed this question on Twitter a few days ago. It's like, should Kyle owe the vets, an explanation of when they wanted to move off of Jimmy and go a Trey? And I had some interesting answers and stuff. And I was just like, no, I don't agree that he needs to ask anybody anything. This is what I see in my roster as a head coach. This is what my coaching staff sees. We don't think that Jimmy can get it done. this is what we're decided to do. You have a team meeting, and you don't ask them what you should do. You tell them what you're gonna do. This is what's going down on this team. You know, this is
right.
That's leadership. That's
leadership.
That's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
just can't picture Kyle being like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. You don't want Trey Lance to start? Okay, well, I'll do." I just can't picture that. Like, maybe it's just me, but Kyle does not strike me that way.
What I think is, it might be just voices here, and then after a while, he starts seeing and starts having less confidence of Lance because of these voices. He's human like anyone else. Like, if someone tells you it's shit, after a while you're gonna go, yeah, maybe it's not that good, right? I mean, he's human, like just like anyone else.
That's bullshit, though. Like, I'm sorry, those players, like, if they didn't have his back, that's fucking bullshit, and he should have fucking stuck to his guns and been like, you know what? If you're either on, like TL said, you're either on or you're off.
Yeah, and I don't think they hated Lance. They just didn't trust him. That's the problem. I don't think they hated Lance. Like, I'm not one of those people that think they hated Lance.
There's an old saying, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
Yep. And now Trent Williams has a high ankle sprain. He'll miss time. So that's just a great cherry to the fucking top of Sunday. Because they had Moore come in for like 1.5 plays and they took him out of the game. Then they had McKivitz come in. It's like, so they don't even have no idea who's going to fucking, like, usually you have one guy set up as your swing tackle. Yeah. Moore gets in for 2 plays. He gets beat on 1 and then he's ripped from the fucking game. So
they were both awful.
This offensive line is a miss. I mean, they had some solid moments and stuff, but man, if Trent is gone and he misses like 3 or 4 weeks, man, it's gonna be something serious.
Mike McGlinchey was fucking terrible.
He was trash tonight. Mike McGlinchey was trash.
God.
And then too, we saw Aziz. He left the game.
Yep.
Don't know how much time he's gonna miss. Hopefully, it's nothing serious. So, I don't know, man.
Didn't he come back to y'all?
No, I think he was done.
Yeah,
he was done for the game.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Aziz Al-Shaair. Yeah, they told him. Yeah, he was.
I thought he came back in. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, brother. Oh, man. Such a valiant effort by the defense, too. Fucking A, bro.
Yeah, this defense, I mean, and what's the crazy thing about it is we're third in the NFL with points allowed with 12.3 a game, and we're playing without Jimmy Ward, Eric Armstead.
What's wrong with Trent?
Play, and Trent, high ankle sprain.
High ankle? Oh, shit.
Yeah. So,
well, he's always good to, like we always said it, right? He's going to miss a few games a year, always. It's always like that.
So, yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to give some shouts out. We've been talking, because we're all sad about everything that's going on. We have so many high expectations for this team. It's only week 3, so, we can still keep our heads up. But like I said, I think everybody's, just kind of with their heads down because, like you said, we've seen this movie. My favorite movie is The Equalizer with Denzel Washington. I watched it probably 100 times. Watched it probably 100 times, and I know word for word what happens in that movie. So, I feel like that's how it is with this football team. We're going to we're going to have our solid moments. There's going to be games where we're going to be head scratching with Jimmy, probably make it to, the second round of the playoffs and then lose because we're getting outplayed by the other team because we can't keep up with the scoring, or we're going to have some boneheaded plays by Jimmy. So it's just sad, like, how everything's going down. I just hope this team, hope they can turn it around. We have some juggernauts we have to go through. Like I said, as far as the score, I mean, our defense, like I said, at some point, the defense is going to start getting tired because, I mean, they're on the field so much. Like I said, for us to go 0-9 for 3 and outs before we converted a first down, that's crazy. Like, we need to do better. Like I said, Kyle, Kyle, top 3 to 5 play caller. I have no doubt about it. But show us some creativity. Show us that Debo's not always going to get the ball in the backfield. Use him as a decoy sometimes. Even if you don't plan on using Danny Gray for Jimmy, put him out there. Yeah. You don't know what's going to happen because people. I mean, this man is getting wasted. I mean, put him out there. Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, I know he yelled at Jimmy last week. So now is he not getting any? Now is he not getting any burn? So he's not getting any burn because he yelled at the quarterback. Like somebody needs to. But like I said, at least if you put Danny Gray out there and he
stretch out the field.
say he runs a couple go routes, people are gonna be, oh man, like this man, we have to respect this regardless. But at the same time, at least it has some clear out routes to open up things in the middle. Like I just sometimes I don't get it. I think like sometimes Kyle is too smart for his own good and doesn't
That I
like
believe.
doesn't like I said, doesn't think outside the box. You have to know how to improvise. And I don't think Kyle's good at that. He has a scripted playbook where he looks at game plans. Okay, this we're playing the Seahawks. Okay, they suck at stopping the run. They're suck out. They suck on the edge. This corner can't hold Debo, whatever the case may be, and he'll try to utilize that. And then I feel like once his game script is done, he doesn't know how to adjust and improvise or whatever the case may be. So that's something I feel like somebody with a genius mind should be able to overcome and do stuff. So I don't know.
Kyle's one of those guys. He's got all these numbers going around in his head, and he's like,
yeah, I think Kyle, and I could be wrong. I think Kyle's one of those guys who like he's been such a good play caller and had success in his league. He feels like if I run my plays, they're going to work. Like he doesn't sit there and yeah. You can go ahead, Denise.
No, I agree with you. I'm gonna have to go because I'm fucking wiped. I got to get up for work. But I was gonna say that I agree with you too, Al. I think he like I think that was his problem when he first took us over. Like when he first got hired, like he drafted CJ Beathard. Hello. Like, and I think the reason he did that is because he was fucking stupid, first of all, thank you. Like everyone says I don't criticize him. I do criticize him for that. Fucking drafted CJ Beathard. Like who in their right fucking mind drafts CJ Beathard as their starting
traded up for him.
Well, yeah, that's my point. Like my point is, like, I think Kyle like thinks, oh, my scheme is so good, I don't need that quarterback to bail me out. Yep. And I think that's why he moved up to get Trey, because I think, like Miriah says, he never learns. I think he did learn. And I think, like, not that he shows us very often, but I think he did learn. And I think that's why he drafted Trey, because he figured out that his scheme can't always bail him out. And he does need that quarterback that can bail him out. Like when, his shit does not work and the play breaks down and everything falls apart. But unfortunately, he doesn't have Trey. He's got dumbass Jimmy back there now. So
you think here's another tinfoil hat thing. What do you guys think Jed is in all of this?
I have no idea.
What role is Jed playing in all of this?
I have no idea. I don't know. I think I don't know, Swan. To be honest, I think last year I had a couple of moments where I thought like he was just like, no, I'm not going to trade. We're not going to trade Jimmy unless we get something for him, or I don't know. But and I think he might have had a motive to be like, I want him to start, because everybody from all reports saying Kyle wanted to start Trey last year. But like I said, if you have final say, then why didn't you? You know what I mean? So at the same time, if I'm an owner, I'm like, well, you get rid of this dude. If you drafted this quarterback, you get rid of this dude. You develop this guy that we traded that draft capital for, because I'm not putting a $25 million quarterback on my bench. Ain't no way I'm paying somebody, the highest paid player on my team, to sit to ride the bench. Ain't no way. If I'm an owner,
but he
can't speak for all owners. I'm not doing that.
But remember, Jed is the one that says, "Hey, Trey can sit 2 years if he has to."
Exactly. So
no,
maybe, but
I think that's exactly what happened, because to be honest, who the fuck is going to pay someone $25 million to sit there and do nothing?
I'm not. I know you and Miriah are trying to go. So here's my thing before we get off. And like I said, this is why I sometimes question Kyle. Like I said, I support him. So long as he's the coach, I'm gonna support this man. And I think he has a genius mind at times when it comes to play calling. But here's my thing. If you're that much of a play caller, that good of a play caller, why has it taken you over a year to not figure out how to use the quarterback that you drafted? Like, those are his, like you said, Miriah, after the pro day, he said out of his mouth, or I think John Lynch said it. Oh, on the way home from Trey Lance's pro day, Kyle was drawing up plays for Trey. And this was March of 2021. You have a whole year to sit with this guy. You're watching him on the scout team, all this other stuff. I'm sorry, if that's my full-time job, I'm gonna have ways to know how to use this kid to his strengths. And still feel like Kyle still doesn't know how to use this kid yet, or he doesn't trust him yet in the passing game because Kyle's offense goes with timing and precision and stuff like that, and maybe just maybe Trey decision making just wasn't quick enough for Kyle, where he felt like, man, like he's gonna miss this throw, miss that throw, so let me just keep Jimmy around just in case. But at the same time, it was a love hate thing because now you have better quarterback play, in my opinion, over Nate Sudfeld and Brock Purdy. But at the same time, you got Trey, who still is going to waste another year of development and still had a locker room who didn't support him fully.
Yeah, I agree with that. My final thought is I don't really care anymore. And I think that if Kyle Shanahan is being stupid, maybe we should all get a GoFundMe account to have plexiglass installed in Kyle Shanahan's stomach so he can see why his head's up his ass.
Denise. What you got, Miriah, before we go?
Yeah. I don't know. Let me just make it clear that I don't want to fire Kyle. So let's get that again, make it clear. Mm-hmm. Number 2, Denise, I love you. I wasn't yelling at you directly. I was just fucking yelling.
It's okay. I love you too. That's all.
But yeah, I don't have no. Well, I'll give you guys my final thoughts on our real show this week. So
okay,
maybe you guys are right. Maybe we do need to switch it up. I don't know. Like honestly, I know.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to bring
everybody that hung out
with
us.
We can't
everybody
now.
in the chat.
Yeah.
There's too much dead money in all the players. We can't blow them up. There's too much dead money. There's too much.
There's a lot of cap hits. Like some of the cap hits are too high, and
we can't blow up our team.
It's just gonna be like this. I'd call a meeting because I don't play them games. I'm calling a meeting. You guys need to man up.
There needs to be
shut your mouths. I mean, it sucks now. It's irrelevant now because Trey is not there. Because now it's so cool. Obviously, we're going to ride with Jimmy because we have no choice. But that's what should have been done in the beginning. Kyle should have been like, you guys are getting paid handsomely to play a football game. You guys need to man up and shut your mouths. This is my final decision. We're going with. I mean, this is after he felt like if somebody wouldn't support him, I could pull him aside. Oh, coach, maybe we should do this, do that. Like if everybody supported it, obviously that conversation doesn't need to be had. What I mean is, if you start seeing people moping around and doing little snarky comments and all this other stuff, like you check with this felt like Niner football and all this other stuff when Jimmy came in, like that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. You as a coach, as a leader, pull these dudes aside and be like, I don't care what you guys got to say. I'm your coach. I'm going to ride for you. But at the same time, y'all need to ride for me and trust me as a head coach that I'm making the right decision by developing this quarterback. We couldn't get it done with our quarterback that we have currently. So that's why I made the decision to draft Trey. And this is what we're riding with. If you have a problem with that, let me know now and we'll see. And we'll talk to the side and see where maybe you can go, because I'm not playing them games. I'm not sitting here arguing with nobody. This is my team. I'm the head coach. I respect you guys, but respect me that I'm making the right choice. So, like I said, I guess I'm just old school like that. Like I don't play that. You're not going to sit there and tell me if I'm the final decision maker. Like if all three of you worked for me and you said, "Oh, Teran, I don't like the," I mean, especially if you didn't get, especially if the guy didn't like, especially if I hire somebody that didn't even get a chance. If I hired somebody to work with you as a team and he or she wasn't pulling their weight, and you guys come to me, hey, I think we're better if we get rid. That's fine. But if I hire somebody, this guy starts in 2 weeks, or this girl starts in 2 weeks, this lady starts in 2 weeks, I think you made a bad choice, and blah blah blah. I looked at their LinkedIn. They don't look right to me, and all this other nonsense. I'm gonna be like, well, I don't care what you think. I had my interviews. I conducted the interviews. I hired who I felt was the best choice. So ride with me until I'm wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Over here. You're fired. You're fired.
But yeah. Well, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Appreciate everybody in the chat. Miriah, thank you for holding the reaction show.
Yes.
It was
Miriah,
amazing.
thank you.
And
Love
yeah,
you.
I just And for everybody who said I'm a hater, I'm gonna say it again.
Hater.
I'm a hater because I picked the Broncos to win. I knew
Hater.
it was coming. I don't care. I was
Hater.
At the end of the day, I was correct.
Bye, hater.